Hi, good afternoon. So it's Monday, June 1st, and it's about 2:20 in the afternoon, and I'm sending you this to add to the instructor comments on videos for week 3, which is what we're entering. Before I do that, let me congratulate you on getting through week 2. So 2 weeks down, 3 to go. And I know I joke sometimes, both with you and my other class, so I don't know if I've said it to you recently. But summer school does move fast, and it's hard to keep pace. We are supposedly working every day, right? And moving forward, there's a lot to do this week. Okay, I sent you a video link just a few minutes ago that I had made on Friday and thought that I had sent you and was accessible. If you were able to view it, the link you got from me just I don't know, a little while ago, um, may be redundant. But if in trying to access that video, you came up empty, you should now be able to watch it. So last Friday, I tried to just say, okay, we're 2 weeks in, here's some themes and here's issues to keep in mind. And I talked a little bit about, the whole macro micro sociology thing and Saints and the Roughnecks and whatever. Okay. Anyway, closing off chapters 1 through 6. Thinking about chapters 7, 8, and 9 this week, into 10, which I put off to next week, though it could have been part of the group for this week, because this is a week in which the subject matter is focused. Not only on introducing you to concepts, role, status, culture, subculture, right? Groups, primary, secondary, reference groups, massive, whatever. We're not talking just abstract concepts, impression management. We're talking inequalities. Chapter 7 is about global inequality, country to country. Chapter 8 is about social class inequality in the United States, including a very important discussion of poverty. And chapter 9 may be, right now, for what's going on, the single most important chapter in the Henslin text, or at least, I would say most important, but perhaps most relevant. Okay? For the first week, maybe even, this might have even been true the first week. So I should back up off that statement. I was going to say for the first week, maybe we wouldn't have thought that. Okay? What I am referring to is that with what's happening around the United States today, in addition to a pandemic, in addition to controversy and conflict over whether we should reopen, when we should reopen, how open we should be as a country in terms of businesses and restaurants and recreation areas. Okay, the question about health versus economy, right? So in addition to all of that that's been going on for now, right, 3 months, the chapters this week point us at the issues surrounding race and inequality. So I did want to add some context to my comments about the videos. So there are some videos for you to watch this week. Glancing down at some notes. There is a short video, Life of Privilege Explained in a $100 Race. Some of you may have seen that in other classes or other contexts. Okay, it's designed to have us look at inequality in terms of where some of us start from in life and the obstacles that we may or may not have to overcome. There is a short video, 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, Life Inside Detroit Public Schools, which takes you inside a particular elementary school. And I'm asking you in the instructor's notes that you should be reading in Blackboard with that video to think about how that kind of schooling compares to your own. And if you had experienced that kind of early schooling, would you be where you are? And maybe you would, but your journey here would not have been as easy, perhaps. There is a short video with Annette Lareau, author of Unequal Childhoods. If you're reading it and you want a little guidance, perhaps the Lareau video will do that. She summarizes some of the more important findings as she sees them, major findings from the research she did for Unequal Childhoods. Okay. You'll also get to see Lareau, and sometimes students like that, to see the authors of the books they're reading. It gives you more of a human feel for them. Okay. So those are designed to go with Chapter 8, basically, social class. Videos for Chapter 9. Okay. There is a video called The Constant Fear of Driving While Black. Okay. And it's looking at one example among many of instances in which African Americans and other people of color, other racial minorities, often find themselves the targets of unwanted suspicion, attention, and undeserved attention from police or people that they encounter in the communities. So just going about your daily activities. The driving while black will give you a feel for that. Obviously, I'm an old white man, right? Not that old, but all right. But I have not experienced this firsthand. Okay, I'm not sure many of you have experienced this kind of attention firsthand. We need to see it, and we need to try and imagine it, empathize, right? Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Anyway, The Constant Fear of Driving While Black. So it's not a particularly long video, and it shows you a number of people as the number of African Americans as they have experienced being pulled over, being questioned, being suspicious in the eyes of police, being harassed, perhaps. Just know this, right? That in addition to the driving while black, you can do this yourselves. I could have Googled and uploaded videos for you that deal with gardening while black, walking while black, studying while black, eating while black, sleeping while black, in places in which you become suspicious. And as evident in the most recent video recorded and widely shared and viewed exchange, we could add to that bird watching while black. As many of you may know, if you don't, it's worth going and looking into the exchange between Christian Cooper, an African American man who was bird watching in a park in New York, and Amy Cooper. Cooper and Cooper, no relation. Amy Cooper is a white woman, and Christian Cooper is an African American man who was bird watching. Came upon Amy and her dog, who was unleashed. Christian asked Amy to please leash her dog. He found the dog intimidating or threatening. And what Amy did is take out her cell phone to call the police because there was an African American man who was talking to her in the park. So what Christian Cooper did, as Amy was calling the police, is take out his phone and record the whole thing. And that got uploaded into social media and boom, exploded in reaction. And not only reaction, but, harsh, painful reaction from people who have experienced similar kinds of suspicion, of discrimination, really, just for being someplace in the company of someone who felt threatened in some way by their being there. So once the video was uploaded into social media, it sparked so much discussion and such deeply felt emotion and reaction. These reactions included Amy Cooper being fired from her job, subject of widespread public condemnation, and apparently the recipient of very threatening, ugly threatening, including, death type threats directed at her via social media. So much so to the point that Christian Cooper ended up speaking out about the reaction that Amy Cooper was getting, suggesting such threats that were being directed at her are, quote, this is Christian Cooper's words, wholly inappropriate and abhorrent and should stop immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm recommending, it's not required, but I am recommending that you watch some of the video material that you can find, the encounter in the park between the Coopers. Okay? Again, it is but one additional example on top of driving while black, walking while black, sleeping while black, eating while black, studying while black. Okay? Experiences that people of color, African Americans in particular, have often. It also is joined by the horrifying case of George Floyd, who died at the hands, we should actually say under the knee, of police officer Derek Chauvin. Comes on the heels of the Ahmaud Arbery case. Ahmaud was jogging in a Georgia neighborhood and was shot and killed by Gregory and Travis McMichael while he was out jogging because he looked suspicious, and there was an encounter and he was shot 3 times and killed. This persists in the United States in 2020, this kind of reality. I want you to watch with especially, how would I put this, activated empathy, 2 videos done by Jane Elliott. They are required videos. They're described in my notes on videos. A Class Divided is the video Elliott made in 1968 in the immediate aftermath, the day after, I believe, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Elliott was a 3rd grade teacher, taught in an all-white school, had her all-white 3rd graders, Midwestern kids, who really didn't know anything about racism. She wanted them to know. So she did this little experiment with them, divided her class into blue eyes and brown eyes, created some story to tell why the blue-eyed kids were superior, imposed restrictions on the brown-eyed kids, right? Couldn't play in recess, couldn't have as long a lunch period, couldn't go to the water fountain, things like that. So what the video does is show you her experiences with that 3rd grade class. The day after she did that with the blue-eyed kids being privileged, she showed up the next time and flipped it and said, no, we were wrong. It's the brown-eyed kids who are smarter, more trustworthy, whatever. And she just watched as these kids, right, that had been such good friends, I'm not illustrating with my hands, right, so well integrated with each other, split into factions. Elliott took the brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiments that she had been doing into other venues. And so the video, A Class Divided, does also show you her doing it with adults in the workplace. Okay? It's worth watching. It's long, not a short video. I really want you to watch it, but I even more want you to watch the other Elliott video, which is entitled Take a Walk in My Shoes. And that, Elliott's doing the same thing, the brown-eyed, blue-eyed thing, or variation of it, now with college kids. And in this particular video, right, she gets in the face of some kids, blue-eyed kids, white blue-eyed women in this instance, to the point where one or more of them break down in tears. Elliott seems ruthless, mean, and insensitive, right, in understanding, right, the expression of hurt that they're providing her. And one of the two walks out, leaves. I'm not going to do this anymore. Watch it. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll feel it. You will feel, you'll say to yourself, I don't think I could have stood that. And when I watch it, I think to myself too, oh, I don't think I could have pulled that off as if I was the teacher trying to do this. I'm not as mean. I could maybe try to be as mean, but Elliot does a magnificent job at being like really mean and tough and unfair and in the face of these blue-eyed, innocent, blue-eyed young women. Okay, when one quits, she turns to the group at some point, and you will see this. And she points to an African-American man or woman in the class and says to the group, when he decides he's had enough, can he just quit? Can he go out and go somewhere else where it's not happening anymore? Something to that nature. Think about that as you watch this. Right? Think about that. And then think about everything that's going on in this country right now around issues of race and racial inequality. And try and exercise empathy, right? Not necessarily trying to make you sympathetic to looting or burning, property or, vandalism or rioting. But see if these videos help you kind of get a feel, given the other circumstances going on, the shooting, the homicide, in Minneapolis, right? The police incident. Perhaps we can get an understanding of the kind of collective rage that can emerge from that. Perhaps the Elliot video will inspire us, think that of other ways, maybe to create sensitivity, understanding across racial lines. So I want you to watch both of those. If you have to make choices, you can cut on some of the initial A Class Divided. Watch all of Take a Walk in My Shoes, Jane Elliott. Okay. And she is still going strong on Facebook or YouTube. You can see clips of Elliot speaking out today. And a voice like hers is among the many voices that we need to hear and we need to listen to. And we need to hope. We just need to hope. All right, I'll have more for you in writing and perhaps in video. But these are the kinds of things, right, that sociology addresses too. And there's no more relevant example of what sociology does and sensitizes us to than the world that we're currently witnessing. Have a good day.